Hello, Dr. Fisher here. Today we are going to talk about school time illness. It's that time of year again. Our kids are going back to school this week. Many of my family and friends have already had their kids go back to school, and there are already sicknesses running around. And so today I wanted to take a few moments and really talk about some of my favorite immune supplements to have around at home, some for kids, some for adults, and how to kind of work through that process, as well as just really knowing kind of what to do in an acute situation. So we want to start with a couple of really simple basics that you've probably heard of. First of is going to be zinc. Now zinc has been around for a long time, always been a big immune supporter as well as for male masculine health, prostate health. But zinc in its simplest form is really good at stimulating the immune system, especially from a viral load perspective. And so you can take zinc, for example, this is a zinc citrate in an acute situation for up to 30 days. Now zinc citrate is by itself, and so if you are going to plan on taking it for longer periods of time, I usually suggest, I also carry a zinc chelate here in the office, which is a whole food form, so that it doesn't rid you of copper, but it's really great in an acute situation for the immune support, up to somewhere between 50 and 100 milligrams a day for short periods. Now, calcium lactate is one of my additional favorites. It's very, very simple. It helps with the bones as well as the immune system. Now, calcium lactate specifically is an acidified form that's easily absorbable into the digestive system and can help with digestive stuff. It can help grow bones because, of course, it's calcium. And or because this particular type of calcium is readily available for your immune cells, it actually loads up, if you will, the little guns inside of the immune systems and then certain immune cells that go and really take care of supporting and getting rid of little vermin that you don't want to have around. Now, another one that's really very, very common, and it's been all the rage for the last 10, 15, 20 years or so, and that one is vitamin D. Now, vitamin D works in conjunction with the calcium that I had before. Vitamin D actually helps you absorb more calcium, so they can be taken in conjunction with one another. Now, I'm going to go through individual nutrition in the very beginning, and then I'm going to talk about some combined versions here in just a minute. But this is a D3K2 where you can spray. The K2 helps put the calcium where it's supposed to be. Oftentimes, if you don't have a K2 and you have D3 and you're doing tons of D3, what can happen is you can absorb tons and tons of calcium, but it's not being put where it's supposed to. So that K2 is really important to be able to put it where it's supposed to so you don't end up with like bone spurs and those sorts of things. Now you can get cheap forms of calcium like calcium carbonate, which actually is not super absorbable and or it tends to create stones and other things. So we want to have vitamin D. It can be tested. It can be tested in blood tests. You can reach out to the office if you want to have yours tested. And we're working on getting some easy vitamin D testing because especially if you live here in the Northwest, your vitamin Ds are usually low because you're not outside sunbathing all the time. And so vitamin D is essential because it's important to every cell in your body as well as your immune system. So very, very important. Usually somewhere between 1 and 5,000 IUs a day for adults is what the typical average doses is. And then we can go very, very high for very, very short bursts to really support the immune system from that perspective. Now, something that does contain a variety of different things. We'll come back to that one in a second. Some more simple single version nutrients. Vitamin C. This is a C1000, very reasonably priced. It's a combination of both root and powder from a flour blend as well as ascorbic acid. Now, why would I be using something like this? Well, first of all, it's cheap, it's very effective, it's an antioxidant, and it supports the immune system, and it supports you under stress, because vitamin C is not something that we as humans make, and so we regularly have to be filling with it. The key here is recognizing that if you take too much of this, it can cause diarrhea, so be careful about that. But some people under an acute situation can take anywhere from 1 gram to 10 grams. So you kind of have to adjust that. Now, another one of my favorite, not indicated for pregnant or potentially pregnant females, is vitamin A. We take those in very, very short bursts. Oftentimes it's associated with things like skin, clearing up your skin and whatnot, very healthy and important for the skin in a general sense in the liver. But vitamin A is really, really, really important for the immune system. And so sometimes we'll give big doses of vitamin A to try and clear stuff out and support the immune system. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump into combination remedies. Now, Arctic cod liver oil, technically speaking, is a single, but it contains a whole bunch of things that we've talked about. It contains vitamin D, it contains vitamin A, and then it has some fish oils in here. The EPA, DHA you may have heard of. They're not only anti-inflammatory, but they're super supportive of the immune system. And that's really, really important because if your immune system is under siege, for example, you've eaten some sugar in the last 8 hours, you have more inflammation, your immune system's kind of down, something like a cod liver oil is really, really good because it brings the inflammation down, stabilizes the blood sugar, lifts the immune system up, and provides that extra protective barrier. This one's good for kids, good for adults. Your grandma probably used to make you take it, and it used to probably taste pretty nasty, but this stuff is really great tasting anymore. This one has a lemon flavor. My kids actually take it, bite it, because it tastes so good. So they've improved over the years with some of these supplements. Now, for kids, definitely black elderberry syrup. We also have another form of this. It's really, really great that also has some calming herbs for bed. So we have a black elderberry syrup for kids, which I suggest you start taking now. Do not wait. Take it now. Half a teaspoon for little small kids, up to a teaspoon for bigger kids. I usually give this to my kiddos, and it's fantastic for supporting the immune system, providing some of that vitamin C, some of the other additional aspects in there. It's been shown in research and studies to be very, very, very immune support, specifically related to viruses. So if you want your kiddos to avoid viruses, a little bit of that every day goes a long way, and it tastes delicious. So some other things, if you want a combination remedy, one of the things that we have here is we have something called orthoimmune. We have 2 of these different varieties, but this one is the one we do the majority of. This one's actually going to contain C, D, zinc. It's going to have some quercetin in there if you get a virus, and NAC, which is actually very supportive of the lungs and something like a COVID or something along those lines. Very, very important to kind of prepare for that sort of thing. And if you're in an acute situation, it's really important to be able to have a few things on hand. One of my favorites is oil of oregano. A couple of these bad boys are pretty intense. They'll clear out the gut, they support the immune system, and they just kind of clear out the GI. Oftentimes we'll use it not only in an acute situation for an immune support, but oftentimes we'll use it for weeding of the gut, if you will. Now, if your kiddos are sick or you're sick, Cuff Soothe is one of my favorites. It soothes the lungs. It contains a variety of different herbs, but it also has honey in it and a little bit of menthol, and so it's very, very kind of calming to the throat, and you can take a fair amount of it. It helps with the cough, that sort of thing. It's very, very nice to have. Now, if the kids don't like the taste of that, we also have something called a throat spray, Tone, and this one contains some active ingredients, but mostly this is a homeopathic and can really kind of calm things down with that itchy, scratchy throat, those sorts of things. So in a general sense, don't wait to prepare yourself for when you get sick. Know that that's a possibility, especially if you have kids, and it's better to be prepared for that sort of thing. So I have most of these things, if not all of these things, at my house, actively being given to my children, myself as well, because I want to stay strong and be there for my kids and to stay strong through the wintertime. So if you want a vitamin D test, that's a good thing to kind of have an idea as to where your immune system is at, as well as if you have a tendency or your kids have a tendency to get sick at all during the wintertime, it's important to just go ahead and start that process. Don't wait, get it done now. All right, this is Dr. Fisher for your health, signing out.